What if, just a few minutes away from a modern metropolis, time had decided to slow down? Today, we're stepping outside the main city of Oceancrest to build something very different. No skyscrapers, no massive highways. Instead, we're creating a small old town, shaped by history, narrow streets, and human scale. A place that feels like it existed long before the city around it grew too fast. Let's see how an old town can coexist with the modern city. So, for the first part of this build, I really wanted to keep things simple. No big master plan, no strict layout. Just starting small and letting the town grow naturally. I began with the road layout. It's just a simple road connected to the national road. Nothing fancy, but that's usually how these kinds of towns start. One connection, one access point, and everything slowly builds around it. Once that was in place, I went straight into zoning, not to finish anything and not to optimize it either, mostly just to get a first impression. I placed a few buildings and started detailing them right away, just to see how they felt in the environment. At this stage, I am really just asking myself one question: does this already feel right? After that, I started plopping some buildings. This helps a lot when you're trying to give a place a certain identity. It's not about controlling every detail, it's more about gently guiding the shape of the town. While doing that, I added some light detailing, a bit of dirt here and there, different surfaces, and a few vanilla props. Nothing heavy, just enough to break the clean look and make things feel a bit more lived in. I paid a lot of attention to spacing. Some buildings are placed close together, almost touching. Others have more space around them. That mix is intentional. Old towns are rarely consistent. They grow over time, piece by piece. Some areas get denser, others stay more open, and there's usually no clear rule behind it. Most of the zoning here was done purely by instinct. I wasn't following a specific reference or trying to copy a real town. I was just placing things until it looked the way I imagined it. And honestly, that's often how real towns grow too. Especially older ones, they are shaped by small decisions made over a long period of time, not by perfect plans. For this build, I was inspired by small towns in the northeastern United States, places not too far from bigger cities, towns with narrow roads, irregular layouts, and buildings that don't always line up perfectly. The main road usually becomes the heart of the town. Everything slowly grows along it: houses, small shops, services, and over time, it starts to feel like a real center. You'll probably notice that some buildings feel a bit uneven or slightly misaligned. That's on purpose. Those little imperfections help sell the idea that this place has history. Right now, I'm not thinking about population numbers or efficiency at all. This part of the build is only about the atmosphere, about giving the town a personality before anything else. The detailing is still very light at this point. Think of it more as a rough sketch than a finished result. We'll refine everything later on, step by step. For now, the important thing is that the town already feels believable. The roads are in, the first buildings are there, and the overall vibe is starting to come together. From here, we can slowly expand, adjust, and add depth without losing that calm, organic feeling that we started with. Right next to the town, I decided to add a small agricultural area. Nothing big, nothing industrial, just something simple that feels like it belongs here. In a lot of small towns, especially older ones, farming is usually the starting point. So, placing these fields right next to the town felt like the most natural choice. This area isn't really about production or efficiency. It's more about giving the town a reason to exist. It helps explain why people settled here in the first place. I kept everything very open and straightforward. Large fields, very few roads, and clear edges between the farmland and the town itself. That contrast makes the town feel more defined and a bit more protected by its surroundings. Visually, I also like how this creates a transition. You move from dense buildings to open land, to water and landscape. It gives the whole area room to breathe. This kind of layout is pretty common in small towns in the northeastern US. Even when cities grow nearby, you often still find farms and open land right at the edge of town. They don't disappear right away. They slowly adapt over time. For now, this agricultural area is meant to stay very modest. It's not the focus of the build. It's just there to support the story of the town. Later on, as the region grows, this land might change. I also added a small train station next to the town. Nothing big or impressive, just a simple station that does its job. The main idea here was connection. Even a small town like this needs a way to stick linked to the rest of the region, and rail feels like the most natural choice for that. So I created a train line that connects the main city, this town, and the town we built earlier. And at this point, that first town almost starts to feel like its own small city. Not really a suburb, more like a second center within the region. That kind of structure feels very realistic to me. Instead of everything revolving around one big city, you end up with several places that are connected but still have their own identity. The station itself is intentionally very modest. In many small towns, especially in the northeastern US, train stations are simple functional buildings. They're part of everyday life, not landmarks. But even something this small can change the future of the town. It makes commuting easier, brings people in and out, and slowly starts to shape how the town grows around it. By adding the station now, I am not trying to force growth. I am just laying the groundwork, letting the town evolve at its own pace. Looking ahead, the next step will be to properly complete the first town we built, and to do that, we'll start working on a university district. A university usually changes the scale of a place. It brings students, services, and a different kind of energy. And in this case, it will help turn that first town into a true secondary city. So, for now, the rail line is in place, the station is built, and the region is starting to feel connected. From here, we can keep building on that foundation, slowly and in a way that feels natural. I also added a small water transport station near the town. It's not functional yet, and that's completely on purpose. For now, this station is more about setting an idea in place than creating an active system. It's there to show where things might go in the future, not where they are right now. In regions like this, transport by water usually develops slowly. It often starts with simple docks and local routes, long before it becomes something larger or more organized. That's the role of this station for now. A quiet piece of infrastructure that hints at what's coming later on. Even without being active, it already changes the feeling of the town. It opens it up to the water and makes the place feel less isolated, like it's part of something bigger than just roads and rail. In many northeastern US towns, waterways played a big role early on. They were often the first connections between settlements, and even when other transport systems took over, those docks and ports stayed part of the landscape. That's the idea I'm going for here. This isn't a finished cruise terminal or a major harbor. It's more like the beginning of a regional water connection. Later on, in future episodes, we'll come back to this area. We'll expand it, connect it properly, and give it a clear function within the region. For now, it's enough that it exists. It's a small detail, but it adds depth to the town and leaves room for the story to continue. And with that, I'll leave you with the cinematics, a quiet look at the town as it stands for now, before it continues to grow and evolve. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to leave a like. It really helps the channel. And if you want to follow the evolution of Oceancrest and the entire region, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episodes. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Ideas, feedback, or suggestions for future builds are always welcome. I'll see you in the next one. Enjoy the shots.